Hey, welcome so much to this week's episode. We are excited about this new season and we are going to do something different this season to mix things up. So, if you're watching us already, you see the screen has an extra friend. But if you're listening, I'm going to not only welcome Alicia and Carrie, but I'm also going to introduce you to the lovely Lauren Allwood. How are you, Lauren?
I'm doing well. Thank you so much for having me.
I'm so glad you're here. Ladies, how are y'all?
Good,
Good,
good.
good. Woot
Not that
woot.
Lauren's not a lady, but I mean you two, the regulars.
The
So,
regulars.
listen, this has been so fun. In our first opening episode, we talked about that silly video that went viral that we planned on a whim, had no idea what we were doing. We did it wrong, the trend wrong, but still it caught some attention and it struck a nerve. I think it even struck a nerve with you, Lauren. So use that, talk about how we met, and then tell us about yourself and how in the world you are involved in what we're talking about.
So I learned about you all from someone who follows me, sent me that original reel that I can't even recall, honestly, but she said, you should connect with these women. They're amazing. They are the mother-in-laws that your daughter-in-laws want and need, and they are speaking to the sort of problem people and trying to redirect them. So I looked at your pages and I was like, oh my God, these women are going to make such a impact on the women that I see in my therapy practice, but specifically my coaching side of my business. So then I think I reached out and I commented on that reel that you're talking about and just said we need to connect because we could help each other with each of our
Absolutely.
audiences in a way. So I'm so happy that that person told me to check you guys out.
Yeah, us too. And tell us about yourself. Tell us what you do for a living and
Sure.
all about your background.
Sure. So I am a licensed marriage and family therapist, which means I've been doing that for 10 years. So I'm comfortable saying I'm an expert in family systems. I have a very solid understanding of what makes healthy families move, and then how boundaries show up in that. So what I do now is I got advanced training in perinatal mental health once I became a mom 8 years ago. I have two little boys, 8 and 3.5. And I'm a millennial myself. I'm 37. Yes, 37. I don't know. The pandemic took away a lot of years. 37. I'll be 38 in November. And specifically, I kind of fell in love with the idea of supporting millennial women because I was seeing this theme over and over again of postpartum mom or very pregnant mom who was struggling with anxiety, depression, these kind of higher level symptoms. And then once we did some family work, it kind of quickly became obvious that the trigger to these symptoms was an unhealthy dynamic with some in-law. Either her parents were causing strain on her marriage or her pregnancy experience, or more often than not, it was an in-law situation, more often than not, a mother-in-law specific situation. So at this point, where my passion comes is marriage, family, boundaries, and motherhood. Those are all the bits of everything that I'm passionate about when it comes to my career, is making
I
that
love that.
feel healthy,
Yeah.
specifically for women who are in the trenches of motherhood, especially in this day and age. Right. It's different for millennial women than older generations. So yeah, so that's how I've landed where I am. Is it all started with my family systems training, and being very clear on what makes a healthy marriage, what makes a healthy family system run, how that changes once you get married, and how you have a family of origin, and then you lean into a family of creation. And then how all of these changes happen and impact relationships in that family of origin. So that's where I sort of have come in.
That's important work. So, of the women that you are seeing, I'd love to hear, I know we all would love to hear some of the specifics. Like when they come to you, what are some of the scenarios that you're hearing on repeat?
I'm going to speak specifically about my coaching clients who are in my group coaching program. A lot of it is their mother-in-law is either completely disrespecting them with passive aggressive remarks in front of them, dismissing their requests for what feels best for their child, completely overstepping their role. So not being a grandparent, but instead trying to redo their parent experience on their child, feeling gaslit when they go to try to repair or get some understanding from their mother-in-law about, like, I don't understand why this is happening, or this is how I'm feeling and I need it to be better. Mother-in-law typically has a very big emotional response, which then puts husband or partner or son in this very uncomfortable position of, now I feel like I'm in the middle of this person I've had in my whole life, and now the person who's going to be with me for the rest of my life.
Mm,
So those are some of the very, like, generic themes I see, but it really
yeah.
comes down
Yeah.
to very emotionally immature
Mm.
in-laws are is at the crux of it all.
Girls, y'all have any questions on that? Follow up for that?
I just think it's so telling. The first you said marriage, family, and then boundaries. Like out of everything else, boundaries is in the top 3. I think that is huge.
Yeah. Boundaries, because without boundaries, I mean, think about it. If you're going over a bridge and there's a water, like a massive ocean under you, and there's,
Guardrail.
guardrails, right? There's no like netting. I'm thinking about the bridge in St. Pete that was really scary in Florida. It looked very unsafe. You risk falling off, you risk getting injured, you risk, at least, you can bump up against something and be like, "Oh, okay, got it." And you can't need to pay attention better when I'm in this part of this bridge, right? Everything needs guidelines and an understanding. So without that, when it comes to marriage and families and motherhood, you're going to find distress or discontent.
So, Lauren, when someone comes in, what's kind of the first work you have them do? Like, is it self reflective work? Is it make a list of all the things you hate? I mean, what does that look like for someone who is out there listening and they're like, I mean, do I even need coaching? Do I have a problem? I don't even know. I just know I'm unhappy. What would you first tell someone to do?
Well, they typically would reach out because they're already feeling it, right? And they're
Right.
like, and I say typically, like, how does this show up in your life? Like, what is the biggest issue that you're having? And they'll tell me, like, my mother-in-law ignores what I'm saying. She overstays her welcome. And then she manipulates my husband to feeling guilty, which then puts him in a hard spot, which then makes me feel unsupported because I can see that she's manipulating him, but he doesn't want to hear me when I say that. Right. So now not only is my relationship with my mother-in-law not good, but it's now impacting my marriage, which then all impacts parenthood and motherhood.
Hmm.
So then, I mean, it's hard to answer that question with like, okay, step 1 is do this, because a part of my
Right.
program is like a whole training modules of what does it mean to be in a healthy family, right? So a lot of it is like validating, because I'm giving all of this information of you're supposed to have boundaries when you create a family, right? Like they're
Yeah.
learning. It's all the why. Like, why is this happening? It's
So you
happening.
do start with some self reflective stuff and then you
Yeah.
do,
Yeah, I mean, and
yeah,
I think a
you get
lot of it is
into.
stuff that they're already like, "Yeah, I'm well aware." So then they hear me saying it and they're like, "Thank you. Like, I knew I was right,"
Mhm.
right? Like,
Yeah.
I had
Yeah.
this feeling that this is not okay. So it's basically me saying, in other words, your mother-in-law is having and I'm saying mother-in-law, guys, and I don't mean it's always the mother-in-law. I hope people know that, but
Mhm.
I'm just for purposes of this going smoothly. Your mother-in-law is having a very unhealthy, big reaction to their child creating a new family,
Hmm.
is what's happening.
That's probably so validating for them to hear.
Yes, very. And then they're like, "Okay, but how do I make?" And I'm like, "I can't make. Like, I can't." Like, that's where we struggle. You can
Mm.
explain it. You can show this to your husband. You can read these books, but someone has to be willing to hear a different perspective or a different approach then, but family is everything and they're my mom, and you know what I mean?
Lauren, do you ever have the mother-in-law come in with the daughter-in-law? Have you gotten that far in your coaching or your
No, no,
therapy?
because my coaching is specifically for the women, the daughter-in-laws to engage in, right? It's them
Okay.
supporting each other. If they
Yeah.
ever want to share with their mother-in-law, like, hey, listen to this expert talk about, by all means, that's totally up to them. But no, I don't work with the mother-in-law.
Okay.
I mean, back in the day when I did in-person work before the pandemic, did I ever know? But would I maybe be like, hey, do you want to bring your mother-in-law in to this conversation? I would never have a daughter and a mother-in-law do that, I don't think, without the husband being present,
Mhm.
Mm, interesting.
because the
Yeah.
husband needs to be supportive of their wife, right? And then
100%.
maybe further down the line after 4 sessions, it can be like, "Hey, okay, I think that there's a safe enough foundation here for them to be able to maybe talk through stuff together. There's boundaries have been established, right? Like there's some self-awareness on the part of the mother-in-law. Maybe then we can like loosen up the guardrails, so to speak.
Mm.
Yeah.
I think I don't know if maybe you guys are aware, but a lot of these mother-in-laws don't think there's a problem.
Right. No, we agree with you. And that's what we're
Yeah.
hoping to do. But we also, our goal in a dreamy world is that we can be used to help these relationships come back together, that we can have both the daughter in law and the mother in law be willing to learn, both be willing to be vulnerable enough to be honest and share. Our goal is both and not, hey, we're here
Yeah.
just for the daughter in law or we're here for the mother. We really just want this restoration because we think it's going to impact generation after generation if we continue
Definitely.
this broken relationship within generations. It's heartbreaking to us. And so, that's
Mhm.
why I was just curious, and I think it'll be fun for us to unpack together throughout this season how we can help both groups
Yeah.
lean into this more, lean into this, we're in it
Because
together versus
right.
you versus me.
Because I think if it was a mother-in-law who was like, I will go to therapy with you. I want to understand. I don't know that this would be as big of a problem, but typically it's, I don't believe in therapy. I'm not the problem. It's years of rupture
No doubt.
on top of rupture, on top of rupture, on top of just pot, right? So at that point, a lot of my clients don't want to. They just want to be kind of like respected and left alone.
But unfortunately, Lauren, do you not think that talking about family systems, this is going to impact the next generation's family systems? If we have, I mean, I think we got a lot of comments when we talked about this briefly last week. We got a lot of comments from women who said, hey, I don't have this kind of mother in law, but I want to be this kind of mother in law. And I just worry with all these children growing up without grandparents around because so many have cut them off. I just wonder if we're not going to see a different issue arise the next generation
Mm.
because of all that,
But
those
I think
breaks.
there's a difference between being cut off and being held accountable for repeated toxic patterns and abusive behaviors.
100%
Mhm.
agree. But so my question then to you would be, okay, how can we recognize this is brewing? It's like that saying, how can we recognize when those bricks are starting to build, but the wall is not there yet? What are some things we could tell both? Well, I know you said you mainly work with daughters-in-law, but what would you say are some of the warning signs that wall is
Um,
building?
to the mother-in-law who maybe has a son or a daughter who's about to marry, how independent do you feel as a whole person other than just a mom? How
I
much,
like
like,
that.
you know what I mean? Like, how much do you identify with the mother?
Hmm.
Is it your identity?
Exactly. Thank you.
Right.
Yes. Right.
Mhm.
Well, back to that video, Lauren, we did, that was our final thing we wanted to put in there, that we were hanging out together. We were having a blast. There was not a kid to be seen anywhere. There was our kid
Yes.
anyway.
Yes.
And we were having such a grand
Yes.
time
Have you fed
as
yourself?
women.
Have you fed
Right.
yourself throughout motherhood? I think that's one of the reels you guys did that I loved is like, your kid's not responsible for your happiness ever.
No.
And a lot of these mother-in-laws have fallen into that. Society is to blame, culturally to blame, right? Like for a while you had to be the best mom and it was everything that you had to be and don't go to work and stay home and the shit that women were put on their shoulders for the mother-in-laws that I'm talking about was not fair.
Right.
And it's a lot of the problem, right? There's this quote that I love that is the biggest burden for a child to ever carry is an unfulfilled life by their parent.
Yeah. So
And
true.
that is a
Wow.
huge warning sign. Like if I say one of my best friends was thinking about like, a guy that she really loved and she's like, I don't know, I kind of get weird vibes from the mom. Maybe she doesn't like me. I'd be like, what does she do? Like, what else do you know about her? How often does she talk to her son? Does she call? Does he call? What happens if a call doesn't happen? How does he usually act? Those are some of the, like, I guess, flags of what can you see coming down the line. And there is this unfortunate experience that I've seen a lot where everything is cool until we're married or until we have a baby. And then it's like shift, huge 180 of now this woman seems to hate me and I don't know why. I'm thinking of one girl in my program currently who's engaged. She's getting married next month. And her mother-in-law was wonderful, or her boyfriend's, mom at the time. And the second they got engaged, something from her experience of now there's these comments made, like little digs at me. It's just it's like a palpable shift once it became a very real commitment of now I'm going to become his number one. Something shifted.
Do you have any insight into that, into why? What is the mother-in-law threatened now? Two queens in a castle?
That could definitely be, especially with boys, or men. Your mom is your only girl for so long. That horrible quote, which I hate, which is like a daughter is your daughter all her life and your son is a son until he takes a wife, or that
Yeah.
that I hate that. But that seems to be very true for
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah,
really
Alicia's our only well, you too, I guess, Lauren, you both have boys only. Carrie and I both have some daughters. So we see both sides. I don't understand that quote either. I think it's stupid. I'm with you.
I know.
But I think, and it sets it up. I think it sets up the story. I mean,
It really does.
that they're the victim now.
Yes.
Mothers-in-law, you're never gonna come to my house anymore. You're gonna always be with the daughter.
That's
Yeah,
exactly
I
it.
think that's BS.
That's exactly it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hate that
Well,
quote.
so what do we do about it? What do we hope to accomplish this year, Lauren? I'd love to know if you have any thoughts on what you hope to add as you come on as a regular guest, and I'll ask everybody that question. You go first, Lauren, if you have an answer.
I think a willingness for the older generation of mom, so the mother-in-law, to be willing to think about how they might be impacting their son's family, because there is a loss. They're no longer in your family. And I don't mean that literally. Of course, they're your, blood related and all of that, but they are meant to launch. And now they have their family, which is they're supposed to be their number one. And if they want them to be their number one, you did a good job. That is a good thing. You should be so proud of yourself as a mother if your son is like, today's too busy, my wife is losing it, I need to be with her. You should be like, oh, not, why is she so needy? Or whatever stories I hear that mother-in-laws think about their son's partner. I guess that's my hope, is a willingness to learn that
I love that.
that the daughter-in-laws aren't evil, I guess.
Yeah, that's good. Carrie, what about you? What do you hope this season, as we bring Lauren on, as we get a little more in the nitty-gritty?
Well, I think that's just kind of why we collaborate with you, because we're all in this space of trying to bring positivity here and change in a positive way, because it's not helping anybody anywhere to be so negative and blaming the other person for what's going on, to really come together and just be like, how can we bring awareness into this space? And we do I represent that older generation, and like, how can we maybe just ask people to think about shifting, and the one thing about impact versus intent.
Yes.
Like, we just need to think about this, you guys, because what we said last week is things aren't working. What we're doing isn't working. So how can I just want to bring awareness to that space for me, and then for everybody else that is a mother-in-law in that space.
Alicia, what you got?
So I would love to speak kind of to the daughters-in-law and hope that they could get to a place where when a mother-in-law, like let's say there's a shift or something happens, right? And they can, instead of just letting that build, they can turn around and say, hey, when you said that, it sounded like it kind of felt like hurtful. Did you intend it that way? Like, am I taking this the right way? Like, to just have a conversation about some of that stuff. Because I do think that there are a lot of emotions that go along with, as you say, like you have to grieve the loss of your son. You've had him all these years. I mean, it's sad and it's hard, and you still want good things for him, right? So the mothers-in-law need to learn what to do with these feelings in a healthy way. But I could see how, like, a lot of times that probably comes out as like, you know what, that's almost how he used to like it when I made it, or, oh my goodness, like these little digs, these little, I like to call them the, everybody loves Raymond's mom's comments, right? They're like, oh, honey, you probably just didn't put the love in there. That's why it's not as good, right? Like all of those things, right? But can the daughters-in-laws kind of step up and be like, take that and be like, you know what? You said that. Can we look at it for a minute and talk about it?
Yeah. And if I
I
could,
just think that would make such a big difference.
and to kind
Maybe
of
not. Maybe it wouldn't. I don't know.
well, and to
Go
kind
ahead.
of circle back, Kathy, to a question you had about like with the work I do, that is a part of what I teach them to do. Confront it.
Yeah, I think that's awesome.
Right? Confrontation isn't always this like let's be negative and swear at each other and freaking fist fight. And no, it's naming it and being like, what did you mean? And if anything, you're teaching them, I fucking heard you. Right? If
I
the
mean, I know
intention-
personally, I have said things to my daughters-in-law that just kind of like flipped out of my mouth. And then I was like, oh my gosh, that is not like it just kind of played. Like I'm realizing what I meant was not how it came out.
That is all
Right?
daughter-in-laws want. I swear, if anyone takes anything from this, all daughter-in-laws want, daughters-in-law, or however you say it, is for
Yes.
that exact thing to happen. To go, oh my God, I just heard how that sounded. I am so sorry. Done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is
Listen, Lauren, I
it.
think that's
Wow.
in every relationship.
That is it.
I think that's in
That's
every
true.
relationship, right? And so
Yeah.
I'm going to rant for 2 seconds as a child development specialist. And if you're a young mom raising young babies right now, you need to put the work in now with your own children to teach them how to express themselves. Teach them, give them permission as little kids to say, that made me angry. I'm sad. I'm tired. Help them recognize that learning involves feelings, because if we don't start teaching our little kids this, we're just going to have another generation. We've got to break the cycle. We've got to break the
Totally.
cycle and realize that feelings are so good.
But
And to
do
get
you-
those feelings out is so powerful.
Do you think that your generation, Carrie, I think
I was just going to say, Gen Xers, we don't know how to do
Gen
that.
Xers,
I
boomers.
disagree. I
So-
disagree. I think Gen Xers started to get it. I
Xers-
don't think all. I think
I
we're
agree.
kind of on the cusp. That's why we can sit in this space, because we
Mm.
had boomer parents or aunts and uncles.
Oh,
So
yeah.
we get the boomer part of it, and boomer friends even, because we're kind of on the cusp. We're older Gen Xers, but yes, I do think. Now, I think as I've gotten older too, Lauren, I've learned more.
Mhm.
I don't know that as a young kid, I could express I felt permission. I was a stuffer as a young kid.
Yeah,
It's been a lot of
Typically,
work.
Gen Xers were the latchkeys, right? You fucking take care of
Yeah.
yourself,
Oh, yeah.
see you later,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
And
Your emotions don't matter.
exactly. And silent
Suck
generation
it up.
who raised boomers,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like I'm thinking of my grandma who's in her late 80s and my dad who's her oldest who is 60, I don't know, born in 58. You do the math. I can't do it. What feelings weren't, I don't have time for your feelings. I don't
Mhm.
have
Right.
time, right?
Yeah.
So now you have a millennial saying, excuse me, I didn't like that. To a woman who's like, I don't give a F because I didn't even know you could say that to someone older than you.
Right. We were just talking
Right.
about
Right.
We were
that.
just
So
talking
like,
about
it's
that.
this
Yeah.
idea of like, okay, millennial woman, fix it, do your part. And we want to, but then we do. And we're met with like, you're a bitch or you did this or you're disrespecting me
Yeah.
and my son is bleh. And then
Mhm.
we're like, okay, I don't know what to do here. Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah. I
Because
think you're right.
Yeah.
100%. We were
because
just
we
talking
have
about
this
that
like
earlier.
different understanding of feelings because of all this information that we have that older generations did not have access to that we do have. So then we're bringing it to these people that don't always want to learn. And unfortunately, I wish everyone was a child development specialist because I think the world would be a better place. But many people don't want to, don't know how to, didn't even know they should. So then you have all of this progressiveness coming up against the, I didn't know that. Or why are all these feelings a thing? Or why are you
Right.
communicating this to me? I just had to shut up and like put up with Sunday dinners my entire life.
Yeah.
So it's
I think
hard.
she's reading your mind today, Alicia. So you're on it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly
We
what we're talking about.
literally, yeah.
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 Yeah, no, we agree with you. And that's what I hope, though. I hope that we can continue that while the sad thing is, I don't know. I hope that we can change Gen Xers. I hope we could change boomers or at least help them be a little more self-aware.
Yes,
But what
same.
we definitely can do is
Yeah.
change from here and beyond. We can definitely continue to support young moms, and we can definitely encourage them to raise kids who express their feelings so that maybe not this go around, but maybe next go around we'll see a real difference. I hope that for all of us and our kids too. So any final thoughts as we wrap up this one on this season? Anybody? Any small deposits, Alicia?
Ooh, I'm a bad one to ask that to today.
Hey, how about this? How about we encourage everybody to look up Lauren's work and get to know her
Oh, there
work
we go.
because it sounds like they
There
might
we
Absolutely.
need a
go.
coach, and that would be
Right.
awesome. So, Lauren, tell us all the
Yep.
things where they can find you, your handles, your website, blah blah blah.
Yes.
Give us a spill.
You'll find me easiest on Instagram at Lauren A Therapist is my handle. You can DM me there if you need to learn more about my coaching program. I'm licensed as a therapist in Florida, Connecticut, and Massachusetts. If that feels like what you need more than coaching, DM me. We can talk. And I hope you like what you see on my page because there's a lot of good free content also.
That's awesome. And
Great.
don't forget to
Thank you.
follow us too at Gray Roots podcast. And hopefully, listen, we hope to get into more detailed discussion. Give us your thoughts, give us your suggestions, send them to Lauren, send them to us. Our goal is to have Lauren on often. I think she's going to bring some great value to these conversations this season. Thanks for being here, you
Absolutely.
guys.
Thank you.
House.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.